Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Your crush calls me Mapsy, but you can call me KingMabs. So on today's video, I'll be discussing these 10 essential brushes that you need for a full face beat that I have on. And yeah, I hope you learned something from the video. Those who are new here, don't forget to subscribe, and those who are regulars and subscribers, thank you guys for subscribing. And yeah, I will see you in the video. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the 10 most important brushes for your face beat. This is a beginner friendly video, so I'm trying to get the girlies to know what kind of brushes to use for what, and what's necessary and what's just extra brushes into your collection, you know, when you just grow your collection at a later stage. But today we're going to be discussing just these 10 brushes in today's video. So let's start. So if you're a subscriber, you already know that I start with my eyes. Reason being, a lot of the eyeshadows we use have a bit of fallout, or you can make a mistake, and once you've had your whole face done, it's kind of hard to rectify your mistakes. So when you start with your eyes, it's more simple and you get to rectify your mistakes quite easy. So now I'm gonna take my concealer blending brush. I've already done my brows off camera and put a concealer as my eyeshadow base. I do that so that the colors can, first of all, for an even base, second of all, the colors can show up more brightly. So I use this brush to blend out my concealer. Basically, I got it in some Revlon package. I bought, there was some special going on, and I bought a foundation and something else, and I got these brushes. So this is the brush. It's a tapered blending brush. It's a bit dense, but it's fluffy and soft, and you can use it for your blending. So the first brush I'm gonna go into is my Wow Cosmetics tapered blending brush. It's called the 9008 brush, and I'm going to just, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to go with the neutrals, I guess. So the regular neutral shades, I'm just going to go with a neutral eye, and I'm going to pack that shade into the outer corner of my eye. You see, that color is going past the line of this line on my outer V. So why I do my eyeshadow first is so that if anything happens here, I can just take my makeup wipe and wipe off the excess. So I'm just taking a brown shade and I'm blending that out. It's a blending brush, so you can use it to pack and blend your eyeshadow, basically. So this is brush number 2, basically, for your eyes. And then you take a deeper shade just to deepen your outer V, and you still use this brush. You just pack on the color, just like that. And you have a neutral eye. The second brush I'm going to use on my eyes is a flat shader brush. It's a Yardley brush. Well, the first brush was a Yardley brush as well. I'm sorry, it's not Revlon, it's a Yardley brush, but this was rubbed off. So it's a flat brush. It's pretty dense to pick up shades. So I'm just gonna take the shade Natural Glam. It's a light shade, and just brighten my eyelid because I'm going for a neutral glam today. It's a full neutral. It's not natural, it's neutral. So I'm using neutral shades and so on and so forth. I went and did my other eye off camera, and then the last brush you need for your eyes is this color brush. It's a blending 311 brush. I got it from Discap. So what you do with this brush, any areas that need cleaning up, you just blend that out. You need a clean brush for this step with no extra product and no extra disturbances on what's going on with your eyes. So you just blend out what's already there. See how there was a harsh line there between the light shade and the medium tone shade? I just blend it out, and then I go back with the flat brush and I just pack it on just like that. And then now we're gonna move on to our face brushes. With my face brush, if you've been watching my channel, you know this is my fighter, the NYX multi-purpose buffing brush. I saw this brush on Jackie Aina's channel. Excuse my hair. I saw this brush on Jackie Aina's channel and I knew I needed this brush. And lucky enough, when I browsed on the Clicks app / website, I saw this brush and was like, this was the brush I've been looking for. Excuse the taxi bells will live on the main road, so there's nothing much I can do. When I saw this brush, I knew this brush will save lives. It will conquer World War IV. So I just had to get the brush. So I used this brush for my foundation, and I'm going to use the Revlon Full Cover Stay foundation. You know, it's my favorite foundation, Kasi Pela. Like, it's my holy grail. And I'm using the shade Almond. And why I use a brush for my foundation instead of a sponge, it's because a brush gives me more coverage and a sponge just sucks up the product for me. You can still see my blemishes and my acne scars, whereas a brush I can just build the coverage that I want. It's full coverage foundation, so I use like that pea amount size, and with the brush you can just spread it out as evenly as you can, because look at the amount of product I grabbed, and already it's covering my blemishes and my scars, my acne scars. So I don't put foundation on my under eye because I work in thin layers. So I went to beauty school and I have okay, I'm a makeup artist, let me say that blatantly. So I went to beauty school, and one trick about makeup we were taught is that thin layers. It's better to build up than to take away, because how do you take away what you've already built? So it's better to build up the coverage that you want for your face, your eyeshadow, anything. It's better to build up instead of trying to fight the coverage that was given to you and you're like, oh my god, what have I done? Do you understand? So I don't put any foundation on my under eye because my concealer is already a thick formula, and honestly nobody wants a cakey under eye. So right there I don't put on foundation, and a little bit on my edges. And that's that. that pea-sized amount of foundation has spread out so evenly on my skin, covered what I needed to cover. In between your foundation, your face, there are some brushes that you should recycle. That's why with this tutorial it comes to the number 10. The same brush I was using on my eyes to blend out my concealer, the same brush I'll use to blend out my concealer elsewhere on my face. So I'm going to use my Essence concealer in the shade Golden Toffee and Warm Toast, and then I'm going to use these two concealers, my Revlon Color Stay in the shade Espresso, and my Revolution thingy. So I'm starting with Golden Toffee. So I just go on my under eye like that. You see the amount of coverage that concealer has, and then you want to add foundation to your under eye. It must be the crack. And then this is a good opportunity to clean up your eyeshadow. If you have any mistakes, you can use your concealer to clean it up. And then I'm gonna take that brighter shade, the Warm Toast, and just put a bit in the center there, just to brighten up my under eye. That's all I'm using that for. Now I'm gonna grab my darker concealer and I'm letting my highlighter marinate a bit, and then I'm gonna take my foundation brush. One thing I've learned about using the foundation brush to blend my contour is that it blends your contour seamlessly, because it has product in it, and the foundation that's already in the brush helps with the blendability of the concealer, if that's a word. Blendability, but I think it's a word, eh? I think it's a word. You see how it blends seamlessly because there's already product. You're not using a clean brush to blend new product. There's already product in the brush, and it doesn't take away the coverage of the concealer. It just blends it out more seamlessly. And this buffing brush, I swear you need a buffing brush, a good buffing brush. I think I paid like 600 and something for this brush, but I knew that I needed this brush because a good quality buffing brush, you have no streaks left on your face. You don't have to worry about lines of demarcation. You know how other brushes leave streaks on your face and you have to grab a sponge? With this brush you don't need to do that. Grabbing that concealer brush I used for my eyes, and I'm just blending out this concealer as I go. The trick to this is just tapping in the product, and then when you get to the ends you just swipe it up. You don't swipe it down, it's gonna make your chin look wider, and then you come back with this brush. You just blend the ends. Same with your forehead, just tap in the product, and then the ends you just blend them up outwards, and then you come back with that foundation contour brush and you clean that up. You can definitely bring your concealer down to your upper lip because it photographs really well when you highlight your upper lip. Putting concealer on the sides of your nose helps with your nose contour, essentially. So now, if like with your stick formulas, I suggest warming it up at the back of your hand if like you don't want it, you know, when you glide on a stick, a foundation or something, then so if you don't want that, you just warm it up at the back of your hand, and then you just grab it with your brush like that, and then your nose contour has to start at the front of your brow for it to have that seamless look. I'm alternating between these two brushes so that my blend can be seamless. There are no lines of demarcation, and I can have like a clean blend. My nose contour can look like that's my actual nose shape. That's why I'm alternating between the three brushes. Now we're moving on to setting our faces. The brush that I use for this is this brush that I bought from Foschini. It's a blush brush. Initially, you can see it's a bit slanted and tapered. It's a very soft brush, but I use it for multiple things. This is the brush that I recycle, and I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me powder. So I'm gonna blend out my concealer a bit, just to blend it out, and then set with that brush. So what you want to do when you set your under eye, you don't want to bake immediately. You want to set ever so slightly with whatever powder you have, with a pressed powder preferably, so that, and then you let it rest for a bit so that it doesn't crease easily. First of all, it doesn't crack, and also it doesn't give you that cakey look. So I'm just setting everywhere where I've highlighted with this pressed powder, and I am not baking it. And you can see my face is basically set. With just a small amount of powder. This shade is my under eye setting shade, but I use it, it's not my complexion, guys. Like you can see that this is for my under eye. It has a pinkish undertone in it. And guys, please use a really light hand when doing your makeup. Basically, a light hand goes a really long way. That's why I hold my brushes at the end. Imagine me holding my brush like this, fighting the product to get into my skin. No, you use a really light touch and it really goes a long way. Now this is the only time in my routine. I don't do this with my clients. I use a thingy, a sponge. I just take the sponge, put the powder on my nose. I'm using my Revlon Candid powder. I put it on my nose. I put it on the sides of my nose. And those are the only areas that I bake. And I just continue setting my under eye with the sponge. But those are the only areas that I bake. And that's the only time I need a sponge. That's the 11th product. because I know a lot of you guys have sponges and whatnot, so that's the only time I use a sponge. Right now I'm going to set the contours of my face. I'm using my Essence powder, the broken one, and I'm just using that same brush I used to set my under eye. And a very light touch, and as you can see, I am pressing in the product. And when I'm gliding it on, I am doing that in an upwards motion. We want to lift the face, we don't want to drag it, but pressing in the product really goes a long way. And then I'm gonna take the brush that I used to contour my nose. It has a little bit of contour on it, but I'm using it to just set the contour that is on my nose. Now I'm going to proceed to blush. I'm going to take the same brush that I used for my contour. I think I used this brush for like 4 things. But the thing is, it has the previous product and it helps build the new product. So you just add a bit of blush. I'm using an Essence blush, a matte touch blush. The shade is Bury Me Up. I'll have the products that I use in the description box, because this video is solely concentrated on the brushes that I use. So I lay it on with the blush. I'm not shy with blush because it's the first thing to disappear anyways, so I need to lay it on. I just layered slather. Now I'm going to take this big fluffy brush. I got it with the Yardley collection as well, and I'm gonna dust whatever powder that is left over from me baking, just to have a clean finish. Just dust. So now I'm gonna take a small, it could be a concealer brush, I swear, a small brush. It's a lip brush. It came with that Yardley set as well, and just put highlight on the bridge of my nose and on the tip of my nose and in my tear duct. And I'm gonna take that blush brush to use it for highlighter. Do you see how one brush can be a commodity for so many things? And there is it. So now I'm going to throw on my lash, put on my setting spray, my mascara and my lippy off camera because I don't use brushes for that, and then I'll come back. So guys, that's it for today's look. I know that lashes are very dramatic, but these are the only lashes that I had packed for filming, and I didn't notice how dramatic they would be. Sola in short. But thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.